I can't mimic voices for love or money. I'm completely hopeless at it. I was a really bad actor at school, and I've never been able to model.
A shocking event occurred at Windsor Castle. Queen Elizabeth's valuable heirlooms, representing a long-standing legacy, disappeared. Princess Anne, determined to get to the bottom of this, finds leads that connect to Queen Camilla's secret vault. This discovery sparks a serious conflict within the royal family, filled with betrayals, leaked secrets, and intense confrontations that could change the monarchy forever. Dive into this royal scandal and see who comes out on top. Royal archivists discovered a troubling truth beneath Windsor. Priceless heirlooms belonging to Queen Elizabeth II were missing. The palace remained quiet until Princess Anne, known for her determination to uncover secrets, became involved. What started as a routine inventory quickly turned confusing. Important items were missing, not just minor decorations, but key pieces of royal history. Among the missing items was a brooch that had belonged to Queen Victoria. Elizabeth received it on the eve of her coronation. Also missing was a sapphire pendant that the Queen wore during important Commonwealth events. Their absence was significant. The palace worried about a potential scandal and kept it hidden from the public. Only a few senior royals knew the truth, and people trusted them not to spread rumors too early. When Princess Anne learned about the missing heirlooms, her reaction was severe. Known for her strong sense of duty and respect for royal tradition, Anne initially kept quiet. Despite her calm demeanor, she felt a deep anger. These artifacts were not just objects. They represented her mother's reign and the monarchy's history. Anne remembered the Queen's last wishes, shared in quiet moments before passing. Each heirloom had more than just monetary value. It represented identity. The sapphire pendant was meant for Princess Charlotte, and the brooch was intended for Anne, creating a link between generations. Someone had disrupted this critical tradition. Some palace aides suggested the missing items were misplaced due to confusion after the Queen's passing. But Anne knew this excuse didn't make sense. The inventory records were clear and the tracking was thorough. These heirlooms had not been lost. They had been moved on purpose. As Anne sought answers and asked pointed questions, one name emerged frequently: Camilla. Aides mentioned issues with items Camilla had temporarily, including pieces worn at private events that weren't listed in formal records, with no clear explanations given. Anne's anger became cold and calculated. She didn't want to create a scene. Instead, she chose to find the truth with quiet determination. Camilla may have thought her new title gave her power, but Anne understood that true legacy comes from what you protect. Whispers of betrayal, the hidden vault. This situation involved more than stolen treasures. It involved legacy and betrayal. It started with a phone call from Camilla's former aide, who revealed a secret vault at Ray Mill House containing items of great historical importance that belonged to the late Queen Elizabeth. The aide mentioned missing pieces like a sapphire brooch, a pearl tiara, and the Queen's emerald choker, which was last seen at a diplomatic gala. Camilla claimed these heirlooms were safely stored, but the aide questioned the lack of proper documentation. Concerned about the implications, Anne discreetly sent 2 trusted security members to check Ray Mill. They confirmed the vault's existence, showing it had limited access, and erased logs that what they found indicated intentional hiding, with the late Queen's items labeled under vague family codes. Finding the emerald choker in that vault felt like a disrespectful act. This was not just a simple error. It was an attempt by Camilla to change history and claim a legacy that was not hers. Anne realized this was theft of trust and history, locked behind a door that didn't answer to the crown. Now she was prepared for a confrontation that no one expected. Anne arrived unexpectedly at Clarence House, accompanied by 2 senior royal advisors. There were no reporters and no small talk. She brought the firm authority of someone connected to the crown. Camilla awaited her, unaware of the coming storm. Anne accused Camilla of holding royal artifacts that belonged to the crown and the people. Camilla stiffened and tried to argue that the items were misfiled after the Queen's death. But Anne, with evidence in hand, crisp photographs, detailed logs, and testimonies, clearly showed Camilla's role in moving the heirlooms. When Camilla shifted her approach, appealing to her new status as Queen Consort, Anne countered that respect is earned, not given. This was about truth, not feelings, and the Queen's wishes were clear. Anne delivered a final warning. If the heirlooms weren't returned immediately, she would tell the public everything. The silence that followed spoke volumes. Camilla's calculated retaliation. Camilla did not retreat after Anne's confrontation at Clarence House. Instead, she decided to fight back, which caused tension in the royal family. Surprised but determined, Camilla felt she had to protect what she believed was hers. A few hours later, she went straight to the king, twisting the story to make Anne look aggressive and to say that Anne had tried to embarrass her. Charles faced a tough choice between his sister, who represented tradition, and his wife, who had supported him through hard times. Camilla's report included hidden threats, warning that Anne's actions could create media chaos. But her real goal was to gain control. Inside the palace, Camilla started to influence key staff. She suggested that Anne behaved erratically and worked on a draft royal decree to limit Anne's ceremonial duties. This decree proposed excluding Anne from the Order of the Garter, a respected role, which would hurt her public image. William contacted Anne to offer support as the family split over this issue. He advised her to be cautious in dealing with Camilla's growing influence. Reading the draft decree made Anne more determined. This wasn't just about personal conflicts anymore. It became a fight for principles and legacy against manipulation and entitlement. The Queen's hidden directive. Anne was determined to continue her fight. While Camilla focused on politics, Anne looked to the past, knowing her mother valued heirlooms. She discovered a sealed envelope in the royal archives with the Queen's crest, untouched since the day after the Queen died. Most believed it held a farewell letter, but inside was a personal message from Elizabeth. She described the monarchy as a living story of duty and legacy, not just a tradition. The heirlooms were not mere ornaments, but important symbols of sacrifice and memory. Anne named each heirloom carefully, planning for Princess Charlotte to wear the sapphire necklace to symbolize their strength. It connected queens from the past to the future. However, her tone changes when she mentions Camilla. She worried that Camilla might see these heirlooms as claims of power instead of heritage. "History is to be carried, not claimed," she wrote. The letter warned rather than accused, suggesting that Camilla's role should not change the past. Anne understood her responsibility as the guardian of this legacy and its actual cost. With her mother's words in hand, Anne entered the room of royal advisors with quiet determination, placing the letter before them. A heavy silence followed as they realized the importance of Elizabeth's message. Anne was not just acting on her doubts, but honoring her mother's last wish. This was about restoring order and reinforcing an old boundary. In that moment, she stood taller than ever, carrying the crown's weight with new strength. The media storm, a palace fractured. Anne was determined to challenge Camilla after her mother's last words. The royal family had faced many troubles, but a leak could seriously damage their reputation. When news spread about a missing royal brooch and a private argument between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla, it caused a big stir. The next day, headlines reported on Camilla hoarding royal jewels and Anne confronting the Queen consort. The royal family's image of unity broke under public attention, surprising Buckingham Palace. The story seemed too detailed to be just rumors, and the timing was suspicious, only days after Anne's talk with Camilla. The media went wild, much like during Diana's reign. Every photo and public appearance of Camilla came under scrutiny. The missing brooch became a symbol of trouble within the monarchy. Buckingham Palace tried to calm things down with a vague statement denying the missing items, but the public didn't believe it. As Camilla's supporters tried to change the story, public opinion quickly shifted. Princess Anne, usually quiet, became seen as a person of honesty by staying silent, which spoke louder than words. Inside the palace, Camilla felt stressed. The leak embarrassed her, challenged her authority, and made her look like what Anne had accused her of being, a usurper. Her fear grew, leading her to want tighter control over the press and more power within palace affairs. Yet Anne had not leaked anything. The truth often comes out in the open, and someone else caused this trouble. An unexpected ally, Harry's voice from afar. As chaos filled the palace, Prince Harry, now living away from royal life but still aware of events, decided it was time to act. Early in London, he called his Aunt Anne instead of his father or brother. Anne was surprised but listened as Harry discussed heirlooms disappearing when new titles were given. He remembered how Diana had marked a pearl bracelet for Charlotte, a reminder of strength. Harry sent Anne encrypted letters from Diana, warning her about the risks of claiming things through marriage. Anne read the letters and realized Camilla's pearl bracelet was never hers. She saw a chance to restore Diana's legacy with Harry's support. Harry was willing to testify to protect his mother's honor, causing shockwaves in the royal family. This put Charles in a challenging position between his wife's ambitions and his son's memories. Though grateful, Anne warned Harry that once they opened this door, it wouldn't close. Now feeling threatened, Camilla planned a public spectacle to regain control. Camilla's bold show, a public statement. Camilla faced a challenging situation, with her authority weakened and her public image suffering. She appeared at a royal charity event to regain control, wearing the brooch that once belonged to Queen Elizabeth during her last Christmas broadcast. This was the same brooch Anne had been looking for, which Camilla had claimed was missing. As the press focused on her, Camilla made a rehearsed statement. "I wear this today in memory of my late majesty." She was trying to show her connection to the royal legacy. Later, Anne attended a veterans memorial. She wore a simple pin and a poppy and said nothing about the brooch or Camilla. Instead, she spoke about how true heritage requires honor and memory. Her words had a substantial impact. The public quickly noticed the difference. Camilla failed to regain control through a public display compared to Anne's quiet strength. Social media buzzed with comparisons, and support shifted toward Anne. The divisions within the royal family became clear, and tensions rose. Palace aides warned that another public incident could harm the institution. To Camilla, Anne was a threat, while Anne shifted from holding back to being determined. This conflict was about the brooch and defining the crown's legacy. The final decision at Balmoral. The real conflict occurred privately at Balmoral, the monarchy's quiet retreat, where Anne and Camilla confronted each other for the last time. With only the Duke of Kent present to stay neutral, Anne presented a handwritten letter from the Queen and a list of heirlooms Camilla had claimed but did not own. The tension was high as Anne said, "Legacy isn't something you wear, it's something you protect." Realizing she had made a mistake, Camilla explained her actions as protective rather than greedy. However, Anne did not change her mind. Camilla finally agreed to return the items but insisted that the matter stay private for the sake of the monarchy. Anne decided but gave Camilla a warning look, showing that silence was unlike forgiveness. As the heirlooms were returned quietly, the balance of power in the palace changed. Anne became a quiet guardian of the monarchy's values, while Camilla's influence decreased and trust faded. The damage caused was much greater than the heirlooms themselves, leaving deep scars on the royal legacy.